Welcome to another episode of Eyes Open. I am joined here with two young entrepreneurs who are finding a way to make job seekers and recruiters better aligned. And that is just an understatement. I'm joined by Carol and Cassidy. Give a little bit of background on yourself. Say hello.
Hello. I am Carol, the CEO and one of the co-founders of Openspot. So a little background about me, came out of college, classic Big Four consultant, doing intelligent automation work, then pivoted into tech at Uber. I led US and Canada digital support experiences for Uber Eats. And now I am currently at Dropbox leading a product operations program. At the same time, I am also working on a startup, as Ash had mentioned, called Openspot. We'll talk a little bit more about this, but let me pass it over to Cassidy.
Hello, I'm Cassidy. I'm the COO of Openspot. I came out of college. I started working in big tech in college, actually, and then I've worked in it ever since. Spent the first 3 years of experience working in regulatory compliance, and then the last 3.5 years working in the digital support experience space, where I today manage and lead digital support experience programs for the merchant and restaurant side of the business. And excited to be here today to talk about Openspot.
Awesome. So before we talk about exactly what Openspot is, I think it's important to address the overall problem going on and why you both are here, right? As of January, 6.8 million people in the US are unemployed. Now, you all probably follow the news. In February, there's been massive amount of layoffs in the federal government and continued projected layoffs across the public-private sector and more to come throughout the year, right? Many people are flooding job sites like LinkedIn and Indeed, and they are applying for jobs that they are not remotely qualified for, but just simply need a job. You all have a very unique approach for having a candidate really stand out and making it easier for the recruiter to ultimately filter down in finding that right candidate for said job. So with that being said, what is Openspot?
Yeah, that's a really great way to describe that. And I think if I were to categorize what you had just said in 3 words, you're describing the spray and pray method, where if people are just flooding the market, right? You're not remotely close to even being qualified for a job, but you're hoping the chances of you landing a job are soaring because of how much applications you're putting in and hoping you get that visibility. We're the complete opposite of that. We're focused on humanizing the entire experience. And essentially what that means is if you think about what we've been using over the past thousands and thousands of years to determine if a candidate is qualified for a job, it's simply letters and words on a piece of paper, which we all know as the resume, right? And when we think about what's being put on the resume, these are merely just arbitrary job descriptions of, your role. And it doesn't really help employers resonate and truly understand what you're doing, what you accomplish and how that translates to, whatever role you're applying for, right? And so there's this kind of disconnect, right, between words on a paper and how that translates into the role that, the employer is looking to hire for. And I think one of the challenges that really stemmed, and helped create Openspot is from my own experience. And it's because I would say I have maybe an above average, resume. I worked in Big Four consulting. I worked at Uber, and I was getting rejected left and right. And I was just shocked that I was getting rejections out of basically every single application I was getting applying for, and it was really frustrating because I think the only thing that I could do was just continue to update words on my resume. Yeah. And then in the era of AI, everybody's got the most polished and beautiful and perfect resume. Everybody spearheaded multiple engineering teams and led, 50 bips of revenue increases, et cetera, et cetera. So you're really just competing with other words that are also AI generated. And you're basically just a needle in a haystack. So what Openspot does, to answer your question, is we're providing a platform where you can truly showcase so much more of yourself through multimodality capabilities using video, audio, or just written formats. to explain, your personality, your unique insights, your perspectives, more than what you can do on, words on a piece of paper today.
Very cool. Cassie, anything else to add to that?
I would say like Carol has the experience from a job seeker side, and we kind of together brought the B to C side. So we've also both had experience on both sides as hiring managers and got to see what that's like as somebody who's looking to bring somebody onto the team and how painful that is from the job seeker side, but also on the hiring manager side as you're going through these resumes that all look the same and you're kind of just sort of picking one and hoping it works out, taking somebody to the next step in the process and seeing if they really are the candidate that they portrayed on the piece of paper. And I think it depends, but I think we find that because these resume AI generated tools, everyone's resume looks the same. You find that a lot of people aren't actually able to speak to their experience and what's written. And so we sort of classify it as like embellishing their resume and makes it a lot harder for hiring managers and recruiters and a lot longer to actually move through the process and fill in these roles. And I think that's why now we're seeing, yes, you mentioned like the statistics around unemployment, but a lot of that's attributed to like it taking so long because the pipelines are so filled because the quality is just not necessarily there. So
Right.
it's taking that much longer for people to fill roles as well on the hiring side.
Right. So like if I'm on a platform like LinkedIn, for example, right? People can post blogs, they can share videos, they can post the actual job description and filter candidates that way, right? I can go on a LinkedIn profile, see the skills, referrals, anything else that is useful. How do you guys differ from that?
Yeah. Um, our main and through the onboarding process, you can drop your resume and then also your LinkedIn URL, optional. Go through an automated kind of onboarding process where your overview of your page is completely already there for you. So we're telling you, hi, like who are you? What's your background? What's your experience? What are you looking for your next role? It sort of has some of the similar criteria that LinkedIn does, but then there's the second layer, which is what we really have as our value prop, is the behind the profile and the ability to actually showcase who you are. So it's sort of that next step in investing into taking some time to invest in showcasing your perspectives, your unique experiences, and showcasing your work so that you can display yourself and allow yourself to stand out more than just the simple I've had this experience, I have this degree,
Right.
I have this skill, telling us more and how you actually got there and built those skills.
Very cool. So like I know to join Openspot, if you are a job seeker, it's a little different and unconventional because you have to pay to be on this platform, right? Which that might be a turnoff because if I don't have a job, why would I want to spend money on something? So what is your value prop to those job seekers?
Yeah, so before I directly answer that question, I want to say that I think something that we base this off of is the fact that there are over 150 million premium LinkedIn users who are paying like $20 to $30 to $40 a month for LinkedIn Premium. And when you think about what you're getting from LinkedIn Premium, you have the ability to see a few more insights about your profile, as well as job postings. You can message more people, which 9 times out of 10, you're probably not getting a response from. And I think the fact that we're seeing over 100 million people paying that much per month validates that people are willing to invest in something that can help them stand out, help them get a leg up in securing a job, let alone, an interview. But I think going back to your question, why are we charging, the candidates and what is our value proposition? We've built a fully customizable platform where you can authentically showcase yourself, right? You're not limited to platform restrictions like LinkedIn where, they have a dedicated job experience box for you, and all you can do is just write text in there. We allow you to customize if you want to add like video and audio, if you want to add links, like we really allow you to create it as your own, almost like a personal microsite, if you will. Which,
Yeah.
if I were to speak about personal microsites, right, those are also costing at least $9.99 a month to host that domain, which a lot of people are also doing today, again, to stand out. because they have no other platform or option to
Right.
do so. And the fact that we're seeing an uptick, an increase in people creating personal microsites as well as, you know, their resume to apply to jobs, that's also another indicator that people are willing to pay money to be able to share or showcase more of themselves.
Got it. It's
And
like the cable dilemma. It's like I get away from cable. I get one streaming service, but no, I want to watch something on another. Next thing you know, you're stacking up on different services to ultimately do the same thing.
yeah,
What you're sort of doing is let me centralize it into one platform, pay one price. You get all these features plus more.
exactly. And I think I think this is going to be a little bit of our secret sauce, but you
Yeah.
know, I'm going to share it. I think another reason why we think it's justifiable to expense at the B2C side, even though it's not conventional, right? Because if you think about all the job boards and all the talent marketplaces today, B2C is free. There are some premium features. B2B is always paying to engage,
Right.
to view, to search, things like that. We're completely flipping the script. And the reason we're doing that is because we know how hard and bureaucratic it is for B2B to purchase, onboard, and just utilize
Right.
a new service, right? Being in corporate ourselves, we know that process is going to take so long and it's an uphill battle. And so we are essentially removing every single barrier and friction there will be for B2B by essentially making it free for them to use, such that they will ideally start to use Openspot as one of their first tools when doing talent discovery. And in turn, that will ideally help increase conversion in terms of, you know, messaging and interview requests,
Yeah.
such that B2C will feel that OpenSpot is one of the best platforms in terms of getting notice, getting conversion, getting recruiters and hiring manager to reach out to them.
I love that. I want to kind of dissect into the two different workflows, the persona of the applicant and then the persona of the recruiter and like what they go through. But prior to that, you all have been you're launching on what date?
Tuesday,
Tuesday.
March 4th.
March 4th. And you've been doing this for how long now?
You want to take that?
Since the middle of July, I think July 20th. So what does that put us, like a little over 7 months
Yep.
now? Yeah.
And then when did you have the product actually developed?
We started at middle to end of December.
Okay. And we're now sitting in March. Yeah, so you're coming up. And how once you guys actually announce that, hey, you can beta test, you started promoting this, how long has it been since you shared with the world that you're doing this? And how many subscribers have you gotten already?
You want to take
Let's take it. I would say we've been probably sharing this out to the world for about 3.5 weeks now. It was really hard at first to share it with people because all we had was an idea and some very rough, extremely rough prototypes that did not do it justice. And I think people were really confused, especially given the complexity of B2B and B2C. So it was kind of hard. So we really prioritized making sure we had the idea prototyped well, so that when we do share it, it's easy to understand and digest. And I would say it wasn't until about like 7 weeks ago where we got to that point. Obviously, we had to make some refinements. So I would say about 3 weeks ago, we really started sharing to the world. Cassidy's been leading the charge in partnerships and universities. She's been speaking with Boston University, Arizona State, University of Arizona,
Go
which has been
ASU.
amazing. Which has been amazing. I've been creating some social media posts, specifically TikTok. Actually, like last week.
Yeah.
I would say I started last week. I only have about like 26 followers, but I think where the power of it is that just with TikTok, just with 4 videos in the past 7 days, you know, we've gotten over 10 signups,
That's awesome.
which is kind of crazy to see the power of social media.
And you guys aren't even live yet. That's what's
Exactly.
cool, because a lot of people can validate an idea on social and comment, say, oh, that's cool. But for people to actually sign up, test, commit their time, one, it shows, yeah, people are struggling out there. But two, this is actually a need and people are open to trying it. And especially the timing could be more perfect, because this is where you could really validate your idea once you're live, and how many matches you get, right? That's going to be the critical data point that I guess will be monitored over the year. So let's talk about that applicant workflow, right? Cassidy, you mentioned in the beginning, you come in, sign up, optional LinkedIn, upload your resume. Then what? Give like a very high level of that process of my setup, and then what I will see once I'm done setting up.
Yeah, so you go through, you do exactly what you just mentioned, and then we basically digest all your information. We build your profile like behind the scenes for you. So you watch as we kind of build it, you watch as we're building it, we build it together, and then we show you what that looks like. We ask you if it looks good and if you want to proceed with creating your profile. So if you do, you see sort of like that first initial overview page. You have the ability to, of course, tweak it. So if it suggests that you're looking for a particular role and you're like, actually that's like similar but not exactly what I'm looking for, you can go in there and edit it. You can change the color theme, you can do all sorts of stuff to really make it fit you. And then you can go take kind of one level deeper and go behind the profile and add sort of these multimodality components where you can add your POV on strategic decision making in voice, and then I can add in text how I'm thinking about large scale decisions in a different space, or how I think about AI impacting my industry.
They're kind of like prompts, right?
Yeah,
Like,
so,
yeah.
and great point. We have prompts created for you, or you can say, actually, I want to create my own, and I want to populate my own prompt and put that in there, and it's fully customizable. You can also upload tactical work that you've worked on. So if you want to upload like a slide deck that showcases like a data analysis readout of some work that you've done, or a project that you've led, and how you organize that from start all the way to execution and implementation. Anything that I'm missing?
Yeah, I would say to kind of round that all up, right? Like when you think about your profile, you think about like your standard one page static information separated by blocks, right? Basically your LinkedIn. I would say ours is comprised of 2 pages. As Cassidy mentioned, overview is your static, your typical information. What's special is that instead of a profile photo, right, you can upload a video bio to introduce yourself instead, or your elevator pitch so you can make a good first impression. If you're not comfortable with video, we've thoughtfully designed audio capabilities as well. Maybe a gateway for you to get to video eventually. And if you're not comfortable with that, right, you can always stick to the basics of just using written formats as well as, photos. I would say what we've also designed that's super special is the analytics page, which is also the home page, where you can see how your profile is doing, basically the performance of it, where your views are coming from, specifically, different engagement rates, and split across both pages as well, so that you can meaningfully take action on your profile and continue to iterate and improve upon it, rather than shooting in the dark and throwing spaghetti on the wall, right? But I would say also we really like to describe this concept as TikTok meets LinkedIn profiles.
Yeah.
Right? Where the overview page is kind of like your LinkedIn profile, and then your behind the profile page is like your TikTok style page.
I really like that description, because the union of the two is you can be a creator if you want to, but even if you're not like necessarily an outgoing person or someone who's uncomfortable sharing your face, you have that voice option, you have the images, and you can still go, by the sounds of it, a creative prompt. Like there's pre-described, like tell me about yourself, or you can write like your life story via, type it out, or audio, like I went from here to there because of XYZ, or I'm, took a gap year because I wanted to travel the world. I think all that is a really cool way of, for people who are extroverted and introverted, they can have a voice in expressing like how they're different versus the words on the page.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And I think it's really important to be able to have full flexibility in how you convey your professional and personal trajectory to employers. You shouldn't be limited to whatever the platform's capabilities are, right? And especially in today's modern and competitive job market, where again we have candidate saturated pipelines, it's important that you're able to utilize really any feature and any modality you can to showcase yourself.
Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say there's also one last thing that I forgot to mention is the ability to, well, today I think we did a lot of market validation and interviewing, getting a lot of feedback from job seekers and iterated over the last several months. But one thing that we were hearing, which was kind of a shock, but not so much of a shock when I think about myself, is people's like vulnerability to sharing all of their information publicly. So I think more often than not, we find that people don't really update their LinkedIn as much as we think they do, or it might not be as accurate as their
Right.
real life is. And that's because they don't want the whole world knowing what city they live in, what exact job title they have, the exact location. And that's so we definitely took that into consideration in making these profiles private. So you have the ability to, I can send Carol my profile, but Carol can't look me up on Google and find my Openspot profile. So we found that a lot of people are really excited about that and having
Oh,
the
that's
security
neat.
and that much more comfort in investing and sharing because they know that it's only going to the audience that they handpick.
So that's a good segue into the recruiter workflow.
Yeah.
How does a recruiter find you, especially if there's restricted sharing?
Yeah. So I think just to end off what Cassidy had mentioned, right? Like a lot of people aren't looking to be social media stars. The people don't
Yeah.
want to share more than they have to on the internet, right? And if we were to put it extremely casual, it's kind of cringe. And to say you got a promotion, right? To say you did X,
Right.
Y, Z and achieved whatever it was on LinkedIn. I mean, there's so many, people mocking it.
Yeah.
And it just shows what the negative sentiment is with LinkedIn. So nobody wants to put more than they have to on LinkedIn.
Right.
But I think as Cassidy had mentioned, right, the nice thing about Openspot is like only the people that you're sharing it with will see it. You can't look me up and I can't look you up as long as, I'm not sharing my profile link with you. Each profile has their own dedicated profile link that they can share, kind of like your Venmo QR code, if you will. The other visibility aspect is obviously the B2B. At the end of the day, you're here to get a job. So obviously you need to be visible and discoverable by the employers. So essentially what happens is for the recruiter workflow is all you have to do is log in. And once you log in, you'll be prompted to the homepage, which is quite literally just a chatbot. Think of it like ChatGPT, and you're going to be talking to this chatbot as you would with like a recruiter, for example. It'll ask you, what type of role you're looking to hire for, how many years of experience, what industry, really any specific requirements that you have. You can copy and paste your job description of it in there if you want. And once you're done chatting with the bot, it'll search our database of candidates and then match you with all of the high matching candidates. And you'll view these profiles almost like a Tinder Hinge style, one profile at a time. You'll see their video, audio bio, you'll read through their overview page, you'll click into their behind the profile page and see more prompts that they've completed as well, get a better sense of who they are, how they think, how they speak, things like that. If you like them, you can invite them for an interview or for, just an intro, and you can again use.
Is that done through the app or
It's
is
through
that,
an
yeah, I
app.
have a contact? Okay.
Yep, it's all in app, it's all native, and you can also use the video and audio capability to reach out instead of just written text in the messaging, which I think is a lot more engaging and exciting. But yeah, you just rinse and repeat that process with each profile within your search result. And yeah, it's super simple. There's no old school filtering, a million fields, city, location, work type, things like that. All natural language, and we're using a large language model to power it.
Yeah, and that's huge for recruiters because you're cutting through the BS. You're kind of making it easy for you, your own work of like, oh, I got to search LinkedIn profiles, what matches the criteria. You're kind of getting that automated to the bot.
Yeah.
So you have a lineup of candidates. The goes through each and every one. I guess like talk me through like more about the inviting. Can I have the interview itself within the app, or is it I'm inviting you, hey, I'm interested, let's set up some time to talk, and then I go off the platform, whether it's through phone, email, traditional methods. Like, what does that look like?
It's the latter. So it's really just a way to connect the two so that you
Got
can
it.
continue the conversation however you need it to be. I like to describe that currently Openspot is only focusing on the beginning of the funnel of hiring, which is really, sourcing, finding the right person at the right time is what I like to describe it. Anything after that is really, you can use your existing processes, tools, whatever that's necessary to facilitate the remainder of the process.
Yeah. And have you gotten any recruiters onboarded to this yet?
So no, the short answer is no. The long answer is because we are B2B to B2C.
Yeah.
We have that unique challenge of like, who do we onboard first, right? Because both need to exist for it to be successful. We ultimately went to prioritize B2C first. And the reason is because we truly believe that having the ability to showcase the power of the profile and the unique proposition for us is the unique presentation of these candidates, right? Like that's the true value proposition that's also unique from all the talent marketplaces and job boards there are. So that's really why we wanted to focus on the B2C side first. We've also made B2C autonomous in terms of not needing B2B to exist in order to thrive on Openspot, right? As I had mentioned, you have full capability to share your profile externally, whether it's on your resume, on applications, through emails, messages, whatever. You have your analytics as well. So it's a full platform in itself for B2C. They don't need B2B to exist in the platform to thrive. And B2B will ideally come next.
Awesome. I love it. All right. I know we have limited time, so I want to get into pricing. We already addressed the elephant in the room that if you're a job seeker, you have to pay. I saw that there's a student pricing. So for any college students watching this, thank you for watching. But also, I think, can you just talk through pricing for college students versus an, I guess, already adult, graduated, like real life working adult?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. We have two standard pricing models. One is for students, and then one is for a regular job seeker. The student pricing is $4.99 a month, and then the standard job seeker pricing is $9.99 a month. So really emphasizing the accessibility. We want people to be able to access the platform, and I think like Carol touched on it earlier, pricing is significantly lower than LinkedIn, but we believe we have a lot more to offer, so really excited.
Yeah, I like pricing, so I'm going to ask some pricing questions. So is it monthly, no contract, or do you require a minimum annual contract?
We don't require minimum. Actually, we offer like your first 30 days on us. No credit card required when you sign up.
That's
we want
huge.
you to really like dive into the platform, figure out if it's a good fit for you, what value it brings to you, and once you see and realize that value, hopefully you'll continue to partner with us and subscribe. I was gonna say something. I lost my train of thought, but yeah.
Okay. And do you plan on having, I guess, discounted rates for those who do want to commit longer term? Because, there's those kind of personas where I'm in the job market, I have a job, but I always want to stay fresh on my market, right? Because what happens to your profile if I stop paying and I get my job, right? Because retention is going to be the next big piece.
Yeah, so we do today actually offer 6 months. We've talked about, and so I think that's $45.99, something like that. It comes out to like a little more, I think $8.20 odd cents per month. We have talked about like an annualized. Yeah, I think we want it to be flexible. We're not looking to hold anyone to a contract or anything like that. But if you want to add,
I would say, like, at the end of the day, our mission is to help people land more interviews and land jobs, right? Because that in itself is very painful and very friction filled. So as Cassidy mentioned, right, like 30 days on us, ideally you see the value of the platform. There's no credit card required. You can get started right away. Your profile can be created for you, right? Using that resume upload that Cassidy had mentioned. Within 30 seconds, your profile is pretty much built, and all you have to do is start creating, and answering to those prompts as you want to. You can create 1, 2, 3. Ideally, you have more. And as you had mentioned as well, like once you get a job, you want your profile to stay fresh, right? Like you put a lot of work into this, and this is something that we thought about for post MVP is basically creating like a portfolio as a service, right? Basically replacing your LinkedIn profile or even like a digital business card, if you will. And offering that for a very low, monthly subscription as well.
I love it. And last question here is, if someone, let's say, pauses on paying for 1 month and said, I have a job, is my profile still active? Like, do you guys keep it? If I decide to sign back up, do I have to start from scratch, or does it still exist?
So the real answer, we haven't touched on that yet.
Okay.
We have
That's
some
fair.
time to figure it out though. But I think ideally we would not want to delete any profiles. We
Yeah.
would want to save it so that nobody ever has to start from scratch.
We store your data. We don't get rid of it.
Yeah.
Nice. Hey, at least you're honest about it.
Unless you request deletion.
Yeah.
It's in our privacy policy.
There we go. You heard that policy first mentality here.
I will let you in on a secret though. Every company does it.
Yeah. No, of course, of course. In real estate world, Zillow is that for us. So, no. In any case, this is awesome. Thank you for sharing. I do have one more question. Can people watch a demo? Like, how can people see it? Because I had an awesome opportunity to beta test, and I'm sure they can go on openspot.com, right? That's the website.
Openspot.com.
Openspot.com. Lovely. It'll all be in the description. You'll be able to have links to it. But I imagine the average person can just go in, find demos, all that good stuff.
We have our landing page. It showcases a lot of the features. We have a separate demo video, and you can attach like the Google Drive link to it in your description as well.
Amazing. All right. And beyond that, how can people find you, contact you?
On TikTok, Hey Carol Lung. On YouTube Shorts, Hey Carol Lung. And then on LinkedIn, you can just search us up, Carol Lung and Cassidy Curry.
Amazing. That's a lot of links to put on my description, but I'll do it for you so you could get a job. You heard it from here first. Thank you both for joining.
Of course.
All right.